Okay, here we are. It's not actually the last day of the month.
We are got a whole week to spare almost.
We do. I can't remember the last time we actually did it on our scheduled third Wednesday.
Or Friday.
I mean, or Friday. I was telling Amy while we were waiting that we're into the maw of the semester. I don't know if the maw is the right word, but it feels mawish, just, or maybe black hole's better description. I'm not sure, but it's like, I talk to Davin regularly, and I tell you what's going on with what he's doing is amazing. So anyway, so shall we read haiku?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we haven't talked about this before.
Any preference on order?
What's that?
Any preference on order this month?
No, I just put them in the regular the regular order. So Davin, Amy, and me, would you like that? Or let's just go Davin, Amy, and then me. Now, sure. I have to ask your opinion. As you all know, this is what we'll be using to in our actual post on this. Now, I'm colorblind. I tried to get the yellow of sunflowers. Is this a yellow color?
It's a little bit greenish.
So it's quite possible I have to go back and change colors. Okay.
It's fine. You're fine. I'd leave it.
Okay. So let's start off with Davin, I think, and then we'll go to Amy, then me.
Yeah, I'm sorry to do this. It'd be better for someone else to start. I've got heavy machinery going on here, so I'm sorry.
Okay. How about you, Amy? You want to go?
Sure, absolutely. I can go. I don't always have titles for my haikus, but this month I did. It's Don't Forget. The tenacity of hope, love, goodness always overcomes trials. And then in my mailing this month, so that was the back of the postcard. And then I didn't send this to you guys because I didn't think of it until after I'd already sent out your postcards. But I added a little hope scavenger hunt. I had been listening to a podcast and something kind of tripped in my brain. And I was like, So it's a list of a whole bunch of different in nature, on my street, in my neighborhood, walking, music lyrics, ways to spot hope. I felt like I needed this right now in the world, a reminder that hope is everywhere. And so I made this little postcard and sent it out and then on the back it said, I define hope as, because my mom and I had an interesting conversation about the definition of hope, and then reflections on what maybe people learned from hope as they were spotting hope. So little explanation there.
So I'm going to point out that when this is actually, when we actually put this into the post, these colors are much better than what Amy has. I don't know why they're not reflecting, but look at these colors. Mm-hmm. You'll see. And I love this big old sunflower. I just love it. And so there's much better colors, which you'll all see later.
We should share the envelope too.
Absolutely. We can't get by without the envelope. So let me stop sharing right now so we can actually do that. So this is what Amy did. This is what we received in the mail.
I meant to do it for everyone, but it got to be too many for all the haikus that I send out. But it was fun for the few that I did.
This is mine. So they're all personal. They're all individual. And I just, of course, I love this stuff. So what happens is that makes the envelope a keeper for sure, so.
Well, I was inspired by you, Michael. You always have such great art and thoughts on all of your envelopes. I was like, I can, do my own little signature, whatever.
I think, you're setting the standard now. So the bar is up.
You guys are amazing.
So let's see. So Davin, you still got. So just for the folks who are watching, Davin's got machinery running in the background, so we're working around that.
I think we're in the clear for a few minutes here.
Okay, why don't we take you then? So while we got you.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Strike while the machinery is quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I had a preference, so I wouldn't have started with Amy's. I probably would have started with Michael's. And if for no other reason, then you'll see Michael's haiku is amazing this month. But also just my flow of ideas, right? But so it might seem like we're starting out in the middle of a book here as I read my haibun for Amy's, but I think it stands alone a little bit too. I will seek to preserve a cheerful spirit, even in the midst of irksome tasks and weighty responsibilities. Those are words from a much longer oath or obligation that's part of the scouting movement, part of the scouting organization. And, they're things that I've been saying since I was a kid and have really sort of gotten into my bones. And they kept coming to mind as I was meditating on Amy's and Michael's, you'll see, on your poems this month. Trials make us forget. In the heat of the moment, hope, love, and goodness evaporate in a cloud of anxiety, anger, or frustration. When a child is screaming, or worse, when a colleague is acting like a child, stepping back can seem impossible. Or more likely, it doesn't even register as an option. Fight or flight has kicked in. Equally difficult are times of enduring heartache and struggle and self-doubt with no end in sight. And I'm thinking here of Michael's road to joyous. There's a deep resonance between Amy's don't forget and Michael's keep walking. Don't sink in the mud. Rise above. Elevate through hope, love, and goodness. These things are valuable and powerful in and of themselves, and are most important when they seem farthest away. Easier said than done, of course. Remembering is the first step, though. The tenacity, I think, is that these things do always work. Hope, love, and goodness always work. When you're confused, when you're lost, when you don't know which decision to make, return to hope, love, and goodness, even if you're not completely right, which in my case is usually true. You're never wrong to be guided by hope, love, and goodness.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so good. Thank you. Wow.
Yes.
You are welcome. It's good haiku writing.
It is. It is. And I loved having the surprise. I didn't get it in an envelope, but I love the surprise of the scavenger hunt. I was thinking this morning how excited I was for this surprise for Davin. He didn't even know it's coming, this scavenger hunt. So when I saw that, I thought, wow, that's great. And the folks, and so what do you do? Stick that in as a separate card in your envelope?
Yeah, I just put both of these in an envelope together so that they would open it up and see this and then have a little activity.
Doing is much better than just thinking or reading, that's for sure.
Right.
And so I just can imagine the folks who get your haikus in the mail thinking, oh, wow. And I love that. I love it. How many did you send them out to? About?
I sent almost 50 this month. So I just thought I'm going to just spread it wide,
Excellent.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It really is.
Okay, we'll keep going here. So Amy's haiku made me think. Always overcomes trials? What does overcome mean then? That we always succeed when the going gets tough? Well, that couldn't be true. Some of our most beloved hopers, gooders, and lovers just didn't make it. They were beaten down and beat. They didn't survive the test. They couldn't loosen themselves from the rack. They couldn't vanquish or even come to some accommodation with a dictator or a climate destroyer. So what does this mean? Perhaps it is the inherent value of hope, love, and goodness Perhaps it is that the inherent value of hope, love, and goodness can transcend threats to anything of lesser worth, like money, security, or even life itself. But this could only be true if this haiku is true. Only if love, goodness, and hope are tenaciously pursued, as temptations far for lesser rewards are presented, but only granted via hate or indifference, badness or despair. Now this makes sense to me. And perhaps the trials themselves are designed to uncover what is really most important to us, at least for now.
Wow. It's so interesting to just the different ways and angles. And I love your reflections, Michael.
It's fun to write them. It's because well, you know how it works for all of us, as we think as we write.
Yeah.
You kind of never know what you're going to be thinking about. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
great haiku, and just the whole package is just like one big gift.
Thank you. All right, so here's my reflection. The word tenacity was the inspiration for this haiku. Tenacity means to grip firmly, determination, or persistence. The dictionary also reveals that tenacity reveals a mental and moral strength to resist opposition or danger. Tenacity is a vital virtue. In this haiku, tenacity is in the description of hope, love, and goodness. Don't forget that hope is tenacious. Don't forget that love never gives up. Don't forget that goodness will prevail. I wanted this haiku to be like a postscript at the bottom of a letter. P.S. Don't forget, in a world that feels uncertain, out of sync, where common good seems like a lost concept and division is quick, stark, and sometimes final, don't forget that in spite of what we might see, what the evidence might present, that something deeper, wider, more ancient is still at work. That hope still has a firm grip, that love persists. Like water, it always finds a path, that goodness might be hard to spot, but it always finds a way. Don't forget, it's a reminder for a weary world.
Like water, it always finds a path. I like it.
I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, it's funny, just like you said, as you're writing. Oh, that's okay. Like I as I was writing, it just came to me so clearly, the idea of that water that just always like trickles through, and water always finds a path.
Yeah, I remember when I was building my house, my dad's advice was just remember, water always flows downhill. Like rule number one almost for home building. Know where the water goes.
Right.
We used to be at the end of the block, and we were the lowest house on the whole street. And so where did the water flow? Right to our house. There. Yeah, and so that was not a desirable thing actually at the time.
No.
No.
But other than that, we loved the house. So who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay, Davin will be next. So let's see here. Can you all see this now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
What is drudgery? Nothing with the right person. Be the right person. And so, part of the idea here is that you got kind of this iconic image of drudgery, with the donkey, and then I could have chosen any of my kids for this picture. So this is just a great example with Isla with the two bags there. Clearly drudgery for her, but so full of joy.
Yeah, so full of joy.
Drudgery for her, but amusement for you watching her, probably.
She's carrying my bag, so I was happy.
I was going to say, knowing you, you're probably carrying twice that. So, Amy, you want to go or you want me to?
Sure, I can go. All right. Perspective makes a difference. Attitude matters. One person's drudgery might be another one's joy. These 17 syllables, 12 words, sum up much of what it means to be a good person or a right person James Allen reminded us in his classic book, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, based on Proverbs 23:7, that the way we choose to view anything is the way it will appear. The attitude that we bring will shape our character. What is drudgery to one might be delight to another. The difference is the reverence, belief, and meaning attached to the action. There are things that must be done for life to run, for a family to function, for a neighborhood to thrive, and for a society to flourish. The energy of drudgery is contagious. So is the energy of joy and service. We have a choice in everything we do. Be the right person.
It's a normative claim. Be the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Spoken by a person who is the right person, no doubt, in almost every situation she enters. Okay. This haiku of Davin's reminded me of when I used as a kid to put up hay in the summers for my grandfather. The work was hard, hot, and if the bales were alfalfa, my arms at the end of the day would be red paint splattered, cross-hatched, massive scratches. It was exhausting for a young city kid, but I loved it. The people I worked with were men, people who worked farms for a living, who were as down to earth, generous, forgiving of my mistakes, funny occasionally as they come. They were good people. I never knew their political affiliation at the time, wasn't smart enough or sophisticated enough to try to understand their perspectives of anything really, except about the value of work. There was little talk during the job. Each of us had our tasks, but at lunch we'd all be together, often eating some basic, wonderful meal that my grandmother had put together, and it felt so at home to be there with them. These farmers worked for years through the bitterest of cold and the scorchingest of summers to get to the point where they could bring in a harvest, cut and put up hay, and make a living. They were the right people. They made the drudgery of lifting heavy bales of hay for hour at end meaningful and even admirable. Be the right person is a provocative statement. Would these same farmers be the right persons in a different setting? Would their farmer tans blend in with college kids wiping tables at Starbucks, or a form filler outer 24 years into the company retirement plan bureaucrat, or the 72-year-old cashier whose pension just doesn't cover expenses? Well, maybe or maybe not. But their qualities, generosity, desire to do a good job and to help others do a good job, taking responsibility for themselves, the job, authenticity, and so much more are the qualities of the right person in any situation.
Nice.
So good.
Nice.
So good.
Well, thank you both very much.
I love the picture of Isla, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to use more pictures that I've taken. It's hard because I'm just not that good a photographer, but it doesn't matter sometimes. So it kind of fit.
Yeah.
All right. There is a Cartesian plane, a 4-graph quadrant, a matrix, showing the relationship between activities that are rewarding, activities that are fun and purposeful, activities that are tasks, and activities that are, last but not least, drudgery. Some call it the life balance matrix. These categories are defined by how depleting or energizing a given activity is, and whether or not a particular activity falls within your own priorities or someone else's. According to the chart, presumably, if an activity is both energizing and part of one's priorities, it will be rewarding. On the other hand, if an activity is depleting and part of someone else's priorities, it will be drudgery. I don't necessarily disagree with the chart, the matrix. Rather, it's incomplete and perhaps somewhat myopic and shallow. If this chart guided me as a parent, I would have been a bad parent. If this chart mapped our route on Michael's road to Joyous, we would likely stop. If this chart determined our daily decisions, we would never realize the profound victories accompanying the tenacity of hope, love, and goodness. Deep in our human DNA, our soul is struggle. It's part of what it means to be human. A corollary to the absence of struggle in the chart is the avoidance of relationships. I've never felt the deep yawn of drudgery when doing something with my wife or my daughter or my sons. I don't know what a donkey feels when it's walking in circles or pulling carts, but it's a picture of drudgery for humans. So interject relationships, interject caring, gracious, grateful, loving relationships. And this life balance matrix seems completely off balance. Build good relationships and you insulate yourself against drudgery.
So good. Wow.
Yeah, the pictures and the haiku are great, but that explanation was just over the top. I mean, it was relationships, and it was, I mean, the whole thing was just
I wish
so
I had
true.
provided
I mean,
a picture of the matrix somewhere.
yeah. That's really great. Having experienced drudgery, and part of the drudgery can be if you're with the wrong person, right? Oh gosh, you know, the wrong relationship, the wrong person next to you on the plane. Oh no, you know, all that.
Yeah, the activity can be enthralling, but relationally poor, and it falls flat.
Same thing true with these old farmers. I mean, really, although you could be very mindful about picking up hay on your own, but it could also just be a task. But if you're with the salt of the earth, you know, if you're with the right people, same thing with when I used to wash dishes at Nazareth, you know, as a volunteer, Nazareth Retreat Center. I was thinking about that too, as a different example earlier. You know, really, do I really like washing dishes? Well, you could be mindful and do that, but it was just being around and just serving the right, you know what I mean? So I'm just rambling now.
Good stuff.
Okay, last but not least, this place could become a cacophony here in a minute as people start arriving. If so, I'm going to pause this recording just so you all know. Which is relationships are showing up, so I'm happy. If I can find my screen. Okay, you see it? So here's the picture, which you really can't, you can see on one side. And then there's another picture, and then here's the haiku. The road to joyous is strewn with baubles, fool's gold. Mike, keep on walking. I've come so far that I've traveled just a step. Mike, keep on walking. Reflection or real, a dream, some clouds or water. Mike, keep on walking. Will I arrive, ever lasting? Mike, Michael, just walk. Now, it's interesting because as I read this, I'm looking at the haiku I actually sent you, and the words are a little different, right? We've got Michael on all these, and we've got Mike backwards. And so anyway, so it's an interesting thing to think about as I was playing with what name to use. So I'll stop me.
Well, that just ruins
Well,
my
that was a good explanation, because I was like, my poem is totally, it's different. What did I do?
I can't do my high bun now.
I know.
I called her
so
Michael the whole high bun.
Okay, I'm turning this off. I'm sorry, guys. I've disappointed people. Go ahead. Someone, I got to close this door. Okay, who's up?
I'm happy to go first.
Okay, you go.
In my back pages, the Dylan song. Bob Dylan sings, I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. It's not a reference to Benjamin Button aging backwards. Rather, this line is broadly interpreted as Dylan's rejection of the naive overconfidence of his earlier activism. He was pretty young when he wrote My Back Pages as well. So perhaps he's been hoisted on his own petard, I don't know. There's a painful reality here, though, in this powerful lyric. If we're honest, we're all getting younger and younger all the time. In other words, we're all recognizing over and over again the inadequacies of our earlier overconfidence. It's a hell of a lot easier to avoid honesty, right? Michael tells us there's a road to joyous. But man, it's Dylan-esque for sure. He offers an honest assessment of our labor, our work on the path to joyous. One step forward, one, maybe two steps back. It's covered in shiny objects meant to give us a false sense of accomplishment. Yes, I've made it. Look at all these shiny things that I have. Should I ask for directions along the way? Yes, damn it, yes, but we don't. And so we're left knowing how far we've traveled with so little to show for it. I thought I was so smart. Do I even know if my destination is real? Does this place exist? Joyous. I reach out, I grab it, but it slips away again and again, mercurial, younger and younger all the time. Where I've been is not where I belong. Keep walking. You'll never get there. That's the truth. But you've been there the whole time. In fact, you never left. That's the truth too. It's everlasting. In Michael's poetics, everlasting is joyous. It's not the road to joyous. Instead, it's the road is joyous. Keep walking. I think
Wow.
it's an amazing haiku. Well, what is it? There's 4 haiku. What do you call when you put 4 haiku together? But whatever it is, you did it. And beautiful.
Yeah, it was so good. I know I kept looking up to see if there was like, is that called something? And I couldn't necessarily find it when you stack haiku together. Oh, it looks like he's still waiting for noise.
People coming in. Sorry. My daughter and my grandson just walked in. So I don't know what they're called either. I looked it up too. It's not Rangu or
Something
Tonka,
like that.
or
Yeah.
it's not exactly it. But you can have stanzas of what I think we're all able to do whatever the heck we want. You know, this is so ancient, but I looked it up too, just because I wasn't sure what this particular thing would be called to have an I called it extended haiku. You know, it's the same theme. It's not like 4 different haikus. It's the same haiku, like, you know, like a sonnet or something, I guess.
I like it. I like it.
Thank you,
all right.
Davin. That was awesome. That was really, really good.
I know I feel a little like mine's not going to live up to Davin's, but his
There
was
is no
so
comparison
thoughtful
in
and deep.
haiku. There's no comparison in
That's true.
haiku.
Okay. Keep walking. The secret of every successful life. Just keep walking, one step in front of the other. It's easy to get distracted with baubles and fool's gold. Purpose questions can cause us to stumble. Am I really on the right path? I thought it would be easier than this. I thought this path would be smoother. Illusions and mirages can create confusion. Just keep walking. In the middle, the questions always come. Will I make it? Will I arrive? The journey requires tenacity, the determination to not stop. The flow of these 4 haikus take us on a journey. It's the shape of a single journey and the shape of a lifetime journey. Different phases, different questions, different stumbling blocks. There is comfort in the flow and vulnerability. As one goes, we all go.
See what you've done here, Michael?
So good.
Thanks. when I actually publish this post, I'm going to put the later version in that I actually sent out to folks.
Yeah,
do you mind if I read it again with the words that I have in front of me?
sure.
You were going to say something, Davin?
I was going to say, the way you use your name in this it's pretty impactful. Yeah. So and I like it better the way you sent it out.
Yeah. Well, I was debating Mike or Michael, just because I'm called different things by different people in my life, and they're both significant. It kind of depends on my dad calling me Mike, my mom calling me Michael, my wife calling me Michael. A lot of my old friends from Albuquerque and before, I'm Mike. And so, it's just kind of, I'm all that. I got to thinking I'm all that. I'm it's part of identity. Davin's really an expert on identity and identity development. So it's been kind of interesting for me to think through that. So, but here's the original poem, which will end up in the road to joyous is strewn with baubles, fool's gold. Keep walking, Michael. I've come so far, but have traveled just a step. Keep walking, Michael. Reflection or real, a dream, some clouds or water. Keep walking, Michael. Will I arrive ever? Everlasting? Michael? Mike, don't stop. So I guess a couple things about the poem. I love this photo, and I love it for a lot of reasons. But one is that if I pick it up, I'm really not, if I don't just look immediately, it could be this way, or it could be this way. Or, and I didn't, if I were Freud, it could also be, or it could all be that way too. Although, that's not why I used it. So here it is. Most days, I don't have real-time reminders that no matter how much I've tried, worked at to become a better person in this way or that, I still have a long, long way to go. No, most days I have real-time reminders that no matter how far I've gone, I still have a long, long way to go. Earlier in my career, it was the baubles, mostly fame, recognition, trying to keep up appearances, how I wanted to be viewed, that were too much the actual journey. Later, those have become more detours or distractions than the actual path, but still in evidence and taken more often than I'd like to admit. I feel more authentic now, less likely to give in to trying to make the impression even that I'm imperfect or think I'm perfect. But those insecurities about the need to appear better than I know I am still reside in my psyche. I guess that's good motivation to keep on taking another step, to walk further, to let more of my own ridiculousness show, to let it go, and to add to my pack daily more of the qualities of life I think are truly important. Finally, I noticed after I printed this month's card that the opening phrase of the last stanza was only 4 syllables. That intrigued me because it didn't fit the 5-7-5 criteria, but because I'd missed it, not because I'd done it, but because I missed it. Unlike the Zen practice of wabi-sabi, in which deliberate imperfection is part of the beauty of the handmade bowl, this was a mistake. And poof, it reminded me that, in truth, I've traveled just a step and the road extends beyond my ability to come to the end. So that's that.
Yep, that's a keeper. That's a keeper.
Well, they're all keepers.
They all flowed this happens every month, but they all flowed together so well. There was such synergy with all of them, I thought.
Yeah, these 3 for sure.
Have I told you all how much I love doing this with you guys? What a kick.
I think it comes up every month for all of us, right? Like, wow.
It does. And my new ones are already printed and they're being shipped to me even as we speak. So
Now,
there's a moment of anticipation. Oh, I'm gonna,
how many do you send out every month, Michael?
I send out one a day, no matter what. I don't bulk them up and send them all out. I send out one a day. And kind of part of the theory is that, and I do it at the very start of the day. It's the very first thing I do. It's starting with an act of generosity or an act of giving every day. Whether or not the receiver likes it or not, I can't anticipate that, or whether they think it's good or bad or any of that. But it's like someone's going to be getting something from me every day that shows I care about them, or that if I don't know them, that I care about them as a person. So, and that just starts the day off great, So sometimes I'll send something else too. And I've told you all this. So that's what I do.
I
And
love
it's
the
not to the
practice.
same list. It's not to the same list. So I send to maybe 10 or 15 people every month, the same people, just because like y'all, y'all get one every month, and some other people that, that are interested in this work I send to, like Judith Valente. I send her one every week. Hi, Judith, if you watch this, because she's the one who inspired us and has supported us and was my first inspiration. And so some others like that, but it could vary. I've got other people and some people I don't even know that might get one.
I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you both.
So Davin, I love the fact that you're using your own pictures now. It just makes it more personal.
I'm trying. You guys are encouraging me.
It makes it less a drudgery, I think.
Good people make the difference.
Well, I feel like there's hope when I get one of these. I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you.
Bye.